All right, today's video is on multiplying rational expressions.
the
So
rational
if you're
expressions.
in the packet,
So
we're on
if you're
page
on,
2. If you
but
have
if
the
not,
physical packet, you're going to go to
you're just
page
following
2.
along, I guess, with the PDF that I
posted. So we're really only looking at a few problems today. They break it down in the packet by sort of saying, okay, if it's monomials, which would be something like 9 or 10. And then the binomials, trinomials, because again, there's two terms going on up here. There's a 3 down here, there's 2 here, there's 3 here. Okay, so 11 and 12 would be the binomials, trinomials. The directions that they give you, though, I don't really agree with. They're saying for the monomials, which is like number 9, multiply together first. So what you would do is multiply the 6 and the 10, the 2 and the 18, multiply the x to the second, x to the third to get x to the fifth, y to the third and y to the fourth give me y to the seventh. Again, the reason is because if I'm multiplying like bases, I'm just going to add the exponents, okay? On the bottom, I get x to the second, y to the second, and y to the second give me y to the fourth. And then they say to cancel stuff, some stuff out, canceling out here, and leaving you with, let's see, that would be 10 over 6, which would then give you 5 over 3. This would give you x to the third, and then this would give you y to the third. All right, but I think that gets a little complicated, so I'm just going to show you the way I like to do it. Either way is fine. You could definitely multiply across and do all this, but I'm going to show you a different way, and especially if you're moving on into pre-calc and you're looking to go into calc or whatever, you're going to eventually do this stuff. So let's look at it. The difference that I'm going to say is, let's try to simplify before we start multiplying. Meaning, if I see a 6 divided by 2, well, that's just a 3. If I see a 10 and an 18, what do they both have in common? Meaning, what's a factor that they both have? They both have the factor of 2, which will give me 9 over 5. Now, if I'm looking diagonally, I see a 3 and a 9, which means you can cross out either diagonally or like we did here, up and down. Okay, either diagonally or up and down you can cross out. So if I see a 9 and a 3, I can say, well, they both can be divided by 3. So up top, I'd be left with 1 times 5, and on the bottom, sorry, there was a 1 there. I just get 1 times 3, which is 3. For the variables, I see an x squared divided by x squared, so that cancels to 1, right? Y to the third divided by y to the second, this just gives me y up top here. And then y to the fourth and y to the second gives me y to the second. So what do I have? I have y times y to the second gives me y to the third. Right? And then just don't forget about that x to the third as well. Okay, so that's my answer. If I want to be technical and keep the variables in alphabetical order, okay, that's my answer that you'd see on a multiple choice question. Okay, so for number 10, again, what they're saying to do is you can just multiply straight across and then cancel out. I just like to cancel before I do that. So I look at 4 and I look at 15. Okay, they do not have a common factor. However, if we look diagonally, okay, 4 and 12 both can be divided by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Again, if I'm looking diagonally, 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 15 3 times. Then I just say, okay, a squared, oh shoot, hold on. Let's try to zoom in a little bit, just to make this a little more clear. A squared divided by a would give me an a up top. B squared divided by b would give me a b on the bottom. On this next one, a to the third and a to the fourth would give me an a on the bottom. And then b to the sixth and b to the seventh would give me a b on the bottom. So now we just have to remember to be careful and just keep track of everything. I got 1 times a times 1 up top, which just gives me a 1a, or you could just write a. And on the bottom, I got 3 times b times 3 times a times b, which would give me 9a. B times b would be b squared, all right? So what does that mean? That just means I made a mistake, and I could have crossed out these a's diagonally, but it doesn't matter. You can always do it in the end. You're just left with 1 over 9b squared, okay? So again, when I'm looking to cross out before I start multiplying, I look either top, bottom, or diagonally, okay? Diagonally. If you were looking at these 3's and you're saying to yourself, well, can I cancel them out? No. You cannot cancel out going that way. So if I just erase at this point, let's make it a little smaller so I can erase all this. So again, you can cross out going diagonally. You cannot cross out going this way, all right, or this way. Either diagonally, okay, or above and below. So what my teacher used to say back in Algebra 1 and 2, actually, was that this guy right here, and this is almost like a wall, okay? Now, it's not the wall that you're thinking, because then you would say to yourself, well, I can't cross the wall. Really what the wall was, and I don't really understand why I remember this all these years later, but basically my teacher was just saying that you want to cross out things on the other side of the wall. So what they said was that you were, I think it was like your armies like fighting each other or something, and you want to cancel it out going across from the wall. So either diagonally or up and down. Okay, you would never want to fight somebody on your side of the wall. If that, it doesn't make sense, but for some reason it stuck with me, and who knows, maybe it'll stick with you. Or you can just remember, because I'm pretty sure in Algebra 1 you went over that. Okay, so again, your answer is 1 over b to the second. All right, number 11, I see binomials and trinomials, which means I'm going to try to factor all this stuff out. So for the first two, I'm saying to myself, okay, there's 2 4s, there's 2 x's, so I'm going to factor out a GCF of 4x, and I'm left with x minus 1. Then I'm going to say to myself, okay, on the bottom, I have a GCF of 2, which would leave me with x squared plus 2x minus 6. Here, okay, it's a trinomial with a of 1, which means what are the factors of c that add up to b? What are my factors of negative 6 that add up to positive 1? Well, that would be a 3 times a negative 2. Okay, and then on the bottom, GCF is the only thing I can do. X plus 2. Okay, so that's just, I've just factor out all that stuff. And now what I can do is, again, look either above and below or diagonally to cross out. Oops, sorry, I forgot. I need to actually factor out this guy as well. So I would be left with 4x plus 1 over 2. Okay, factors of negative 6 that add up to 2 would be, what would be, ooh, I know what I did wrong. I'm sorry. When I took out the GCF, I took out the wrong thing. Okay, so when I took out a 2 from this negative 6, I should have had a 3, right? If we have a negative 6 and we take out a 2, okay, it gives us a negative 3 in there. So my fault on that. So factors of negative 3 that add up to positive 2 would be positive 3 and negative 1. So I'm left with x plus 3, x minus 1. Okay, I haven't done anything yet to this guy. Haven't haven't done anything yet to this guy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look diagonally and up and down and see if anything crosses out. So the 4x and the 4x cross out. The x minus 1 and x minus 1 cancel out. The x plus 3 and the x plus 3 cancel out. And yep, that's it. So up top, the only thing I'm left with is x minus 2. And on the bottom, I have, don't forget this too, okay? I see a lot of people forget that too when they're writing their answer. 2x plus 2, okay? And for me, you can just leave it like that. Maybe on the SAT or something like that, they might have, you know, multiple choice where they distribute the 2 back in, but that's okay to leave it like that for me. Okay, last one, and if you're still with me, I applaud your effort here. I know this is a long video, but you're not really having any practice today, so I wanted to give you a long video for today. I look up top and I say, okay, I got a binomial. Let's try to take out a GCF of 5v. And that would give me a 2 minus v, right? Yep. Okay, and then on the bottom, I see a trinomial. Luckily, my a is 1, so what are my factors of c that add up to b? Factors of 18 that add up to negative 11 would be negative 9 and negative 2. Okay, so that's fully factored. Again, luckily, I have a trinomial with the a of 1, which means what are my factors of negative 9 that add up to my b term? That would be negative 9 times 1. So I get v minus 9, v plus 1. And then on the bottom, I just have a 15v. So now let's look diagonally and up and down to see what can cancel out. I get v minus 9, and I get the 5 and the 15. 5 goes into 5 once. 15 can be divided by 5 3 times. Okay, the v and the v cancel out. And if you remember from last night, or if you watched the answers from today, 2 minus v and v minus 2 would cancel out to a negative 1. And why is that? If I just pick some number for v, like if I picked 3, what would that give me? That would give me negative 1 over 1, which is negative 1. Okay, so anytime you see two things separated by subtraction, okay, but opposite, what would that reduce to? It's always going to reduce to negative 1. So if it was like pi minus, theta over theta minus pi, it'll just be negative 1, all right? All the time. So even when you get to pre-calc, okay, just remember that. So just give me a negative 1. So I know I kind of made a mess down here, so let's get rid of these guys. So what would I be left with? If you're looking as I'm erasing, I have 1 and a negative 1, and then, in the numerator, and then I have v plus 1 in the numerator. So if I multiply across, what would I be left with? I would be left with negative v plus 1. And then on the bottom, all I have is a 3. So again, if you're taking like my test, that'd be okay. If you're taking like the SAT or something, they would probably distribute this negative back out and they would give you your answer right there. Okay, so I know it was a long video, but you don't have any problems to try tonight. So let's, hopefully you watched the video.